Hi everyone, my name is Nicole and I'm from Italy, and I decided to do this video because I basically wanted um, to share with you guys the experience of being an au pair and how hard it can be, but also how good it can be. And I know a lot of you guys want to become an au pair. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter when. What does matter is that you are really sure when you make this decision, because you don't know, but you will probably face a lot of hard times, and so you have to be very sure because you need to be strong in order to you know um, to be successful with your year. And also another tip would be to really pick the right family. I know perfect family don't exist, but at least you can find a family that is like better than another one. So my tip, second tip, is just be very self-conscious and also be very aware that you don't have to rush, but you can even spend more time to look for a family, and just take your time to find a perfect match. I mean, the perfect match that fits for you. So anyway, I just came back from 1 year in the United States as au pair with culture care. And I actually wanted to talk about my first experience as an au pair in the USA because, yeah, I didn't feel comfortable, so I had to rematch, which means I had to find another family, and I completed my 12 months program with another family that was in California, the second family. But the worst experience I ever had in my whole life as au pair was basically with the first au pair family, the host family from Tennessee. So briefly, I want to talk about you, like what happened with my previous host family. I apologize for my look. I'm in quarantine, so I don't really care about my look. Well, as I was saying, so I arrived in the United States April 1st, 2019, so basically 1 year ago. As we normally do 1 week training in Tarrytown in the training school in New York. So where they basically help us out with all the concerns, or tell us all about American culture, and tell us about, important stuff we got to know when we move to certain states, or when we deal with young kids. Like, it is really, really useful, and you get to know a lot of people, which actually became like the most important people in my au pair year. These girls that I met, like, I want to say hi to them. I don't want to say their name, but they are from Italy and one is from China. Well, at the end of these 5 days, you get to fly to your host family, and for me, my family was in Tennessee. For you guys that probably don't really know, geography, because I didn't know where Tennessee was. So it's between Kentucky, Alabama, maybe you know those better, Georgia, and it's like considered in the southeast of the United States. Is like, this is the United States, and okay, you're looking at me, so I don't really know how to say, but it's like here, and then there's like Florida down there, and this is kind of East Coast, and that is New York, and this is California's like West Coast. So I wasn't the kind of middle down. So I was 7 hours behind Italy, which is also something you might want to consider when you leave, because when you're working, you most of the time can't work with the phone. You cannot use your phone. So when you're off work, like 5, 7, your family in Italy or in Europe is asleep because it's night. So you just have the time to talk to them when it's the weekend. Even though in the weekend I usually hang out with friends, go somewhere, so I don't really pay attention to my phone. But anyway, so call me crazy, but I actually stayed in my first US family for 7 long months, which is most of my time, because then I spent the rest 5 months in California with the other family. But don't ask me why I stayed that long in in Tennessee. I was basically between Nashville. Yeah, I was very close to Nashville, like 40 minutes driving, which for me at the beginning was really far, but then you get a car and you get to know that in America distances are like double um the distance in Italy, so or Europe. So I was like happy to have a car of for me that I didn't have to share with the parents. So basically my weekend were always out of my house. I always hang out with friends living close to Nashville. Sometimes I also slept over because I didn't want to be in my host family because clearly I had many issues. But from one hand, I didn't want to talk to them, or I didn't want to face the truth, the reality, the problem, because I kind of settled down and I had friends, loads of friends, not loads of friends, but kind of good friends. Like I had a bunch of people from church that I met in church from America that were living in my town back in Tennessee. And then I have like three very close au pair friends that eventually became my best friends. They were from Latin America, and they're so nice, and I still talk to them. Yeah, so actually, I was really happy during my weekends, but not happy at all during my weekdays. So, telling you a little bit about my family, my previous host family. Well, I had just a baby whose age was 2.5 when I got there, and eventually he turned 9 months when I left. He was the hardest baby in the world, and I can say that because then when I met the other baby, when I moved to California, I had a super easy baby. He was the same age, um, and he was really young. I mean, he was really easy. So my first family was kind of a shock for me because before arriving, of course, I knew them because we talked on Skype and we talked like basically every day on WhatsApp. And I knew they had a dog, which was also something very nice for me because I have a cat and I really love animals, and I knew I was gonna miss my cat. So it was really important for me to have a dog there because I love animals, and kind of when you don't have anyone to cheer you up, a dog will always help. And then also the baby. So in my mind, when I was reading the handbook before arriving to Nashville, I was like, oh, that is the perfect match because I just have one baby. It's like super light work, housework, and with the baby, I just gotta probably bring him to the park when he's a little older, maybe 6 months. And I was just kind of waiting for 6 months to bring him to the park or just hang out with the dog because we had like a pretty safe neighborhood, a very small neighborhood where I mean I was living in the middle of the countryside where there's like literally nothing you could worry about but deer. So it was pretty safe. You just kind of I thought okay, I can just take the stroller out and or just take the dog out for go for a walk or go for a run. But after a few months past it, I understood that my host mom, my previous host mom, would have never let me do any of these things. Like she would not trust anyone but herself with the dog or the baby. So I basically was stuck in the house like the whole day from Monday to Friday. I don't wanna even talk about it because kind of I don't know, but my mind kind of try to erase all of these bad memories because I was really uncomfortable. And after a few months, I remember September, so it was already 6 months, my sister came to visit me, and um and she was like, why are you so upset, you look so depressed? And I was like, because looking after a baby is really tough, but that was not it. Because the problem, like the reason why I decided to leave it, but it was not the baby because yeah, it was tough, but of course he's a baby, you can handle it. The thing was, I couldn't not stand my host mom because we didn't get along, or actually we did at the beginning because she was like super nice and like showing me the culture and like bringing me places. But then she turned out to be very how can I say, controlling, and she would not leave me alone with the baby. She would not trust me. She would not even say thank you or say I'm grateful for what you're doing. So I didn't feel like rewarded or valued or appreciated at all. And I was asking her if I could be with the baby and just bring him to, I don't know. I knew that we did need a car to drive to the playground or to the library, which I would never ask since I got to know that she would not trust me. But I was at least hoping for the permission to get out for a walk with a stroller, and she would never let me. She would always come along. And okay, you were probably now wondering, why is she was she always controlling me, and she was all like so overprotective with the baby. She was working, but she was working from home. But she actually was working like very, I don't know, but her job was super flexible, and she would rather play with me and the baby than just work. And eventually the play area that was like in the kitchen area, they actually moved it upstairs. And that was really hard because for me it was such a stupid situation because um they moved the play area upstairs in the, I don't know, the bonus room where there's the parents' offices. Well, the dad most of the time worked from here, his office, either in Colorado, either in Nashville. So he was kind of out of most of the days. But he was kind of okay when he was working from that because it was like super like quiet. But the mom was like working from Monday to Friday, morning to 5 p.m. She was working in her office upstairs, and there was not a door. So when the baby cried and we were still downstairs, she would come down, she would rush downstairs and like, what happened? Did he fall? Did he get hurt? And I'm like, no, he's just probably hungry or tired, or he's a baby. I don't know. He's upset. Maybe he's a, I don't know, diaper that has to be changed, like kind of stuff. But then when we eventually got to move upstairs, it was crazy because it was like me, the mom, the baby, and the dog, and we were all together like upstairs in that bonus room. And the mom would be at the computer or on the treadmill, and she was like either exercising, either answering emails and taking phone calls and stuff like that. And I was literally 9 hours lying in the play area with a baby, not even able to, I don't know, to get fresh air, to just take the baby out or do what I wanted. Like, I don't know, maybe cooking, and the baby was like playing by himself. No, I had to do what the baby did. So I'm like playing with the baby 100%, and like 5 days a week, 9 days, 9 hours per day. And that was probably what drove me crazy, and I don't know, made me feel like super depressed. And I don't know, like, when you have wings that people cut and you can't do anything. And I didn't want to do a lot of stuff because of course he's a baby, but at least like bring him outside. But it was too hot, and that it was too cold, and there was always an excuse. And she basically was all the time with me. And you know what, the funny thing is that at the beginning I liked when she was with me because being with a baby and try to play with a baby, it's like kind of boring because you have like four toys. Because she was like super minimalist, she was like super obsessed with this Montessori method, and so she like 4 games at a time. She would rotate, but that was always the same after 5 months. So like you play for 9 hours literally with the same toys, and the baby was bored. I was super bored. And so when she came, it was actually a little relief because she kind of was talking to me, and we were like, okay, now I have someone to talk about, something else. And but I didn't realize that it was not healthy because most of my au pair friends would hang out with other au pair and do play dates. Why for me it was forbidden. But also something I really hate, it was like she was super protective, as I said before, and she would not leave me like, for example, that is the play area and I was on the corner and the baby was at the other corner. No. I mean, he was really, I don't know what to say, but he started to crawl very early, like 4 months, 5 months. He was already kind of crawling, and 9 months he was definitely walking. So he was really dangerous because he was climbing up the ladder, not the ladder, sorry, the bookshelf, or climbing up everything, and that was kind of scary. But a baby has to learn that you're not always there to support him, which was which it was what I had to do, because my previous house mom literally wanted me to be like support him and be behind him, or just protect him and just avoid any opportunity he had to fall or hurt himself or get injured, and that was like mentally hard. um yeah, so basically, I was very tired, complained with my friends, and my friends were always telling me, Nicole, you have to move, you just have to leave, you can do rematch, you have to talk to your LCC, which is our consultant. But I never did because I didn't want to upset anyone. I just thought, that is it, that is my job, I came for that. But then I tried to talk to my host mom, because that was already October. Imagine, I arrived at the beginning of April, and I was talking about my problems at the beginning of October, like super duper long time. So my tip is never wait. When you have some issues, just talk. But I was shy and afraid and just didn't want to, love the status quo. I didn't want to make a mess or be kicked out, because you can hear about terrible stories about people that are just kicked out from one day, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know anyone. I don't want to live under a bridge. So I'm like, okay, just be quiet and patient, and that is probably normal, and just go with it. But October, it was the time that she actually left 4 days. Like, she really left because she need to work in Las Vegas. So she just went to Las Vegas for 4 days. And as I said before, the dad was working from his office. And one day he eventually had to go to, I remember that was a Tuesday, when I had to wake up at 3 a.m., which is not legal. But as a pair, what can you say? So I woke up in the middle of the night because my host dad had to leave on a private jet to go to Denver, Colorado from Nashville. So he's like giving me the monitor with the baby, and I just had to put the monitor on my nightstand, and then of course wake up when the baby woke up. So at 6 a.m. woke up as the baby started to cry, and he probably was already in Denver. My host mom was in Nevada, in Las Vegas, and well, I started my day, and actually I was really happy because I could like make breakfast for me, make the little baby food for him, and he was in like his jumperos, like a kind of chair, that bouncy chair. And I was not constantly playing because I had stuff to do, like the laundry, stuff that I normally could do because she could help. But I didn't say something before, I didn't mention, but one of the reason I also decided to leave, it was because I felt super controlled, like over controlled, like, I don't know. But in America, probably it's really normal, but in Italy, it isn't. People have cameras not only in the garden, but also inside the house. And we basically had cameras every single corner of any room but my bathroom and my room. But like on a play area, we had like cameras like above my head. So you were like, well, she's watching me, and she was not one of this person that just watch it randomly, but she would watch it like 100%, like 27, 24/7. So when I was with the baby and she was in Las Vegas, she actually watched through the cameras, and you she has an app on the phone that you can talk to the camera, so you can hear her, but she can also see you. So all of a sudden I was like playing with the baby, but I was not probably paying attention because because I tell you what I was doing later. Um, and so she was like a voice in the corner saying, "Oh, I see he loves to play with, I don't know the name of the teddy bear." And I'm like, "Oh my God, she's watching us." And then I started to say, "Oh, look, there's your mommy. Do you want to talk to her?" And he's like very upset because she disappeared. She didn't talk at all. And he was like hearing the mom voice and he was like super, super upset. And I was terrified. Like I would not even look at my phone one single time in the rest of my month because I was super terrified. And the reason why I was looking at my phone it was because she at the moment she and her husband were about to sell the house. And that happened when I was at home alone and when they were both aware. It's like in Colorado or in Nevada, I was there. I'm not even the daughter. I'm just an au pair, you know. So we were actually expecting not guests, sorry, clients that were that had to look at the house. And so she got the notification on their app like in the morning and she texted me or I probably phoned me to tell me that I had to just clean up the house, make their bed, changed like I don't know, towels or remove some stuff and put them in the backyard and sweep the floor and I'm like, wow, I have a baby to look after and you want me to do that. So she actually sent me a list of stuff that I had to do, like chores that I had to do in no time because these people were supposed to arrive like quarter to midday, something like that. And so that is why I was on my phone because I was double checking if I did all my chores. And then that's when she watched through the camera and like play with the baby stuff. But yeah. So and then people didn't even show up. So yes, I was really upset. And when she came back, I eventually told her how I felt. I told her how I felt um because I felt really bad. I felt like super used and so well I just decided that it was not the right match. I knew it, but I decided it was the time to actually do something. The thing is, in the meanwhile, when I was processing all of this and I was kind of, you know, be strong, wanted to be strong and say something, you know what happened? You will never believe me. From one day to the other, my husband said, okay, the host dad is um he has to move for a month to Denver, Colorado for because of his job, you know. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can handle it. I mean, we are two, we can handle the babies. And she's like, no, I want to move. And I'm like, move what? Like, I have a friend here, I have like my life, I wanted to start English classes. Why are we gonna move for a month? It's like too much waste of time and money. But she's like, no, because the company is gonna pay for everything, for our flights, for our Airbnb, for food, for everything, so we don't have to. They're also gonna pay for the dog daycare because yes, this dog one used to go to daycare. So they were like spending the money the company gave them, and they put the dog in the daycare for a month, which is, I don't want to know how much money, but it is a lot. Well, and then we got to move to Denver, but I swear they told me like literally 2 days before. And in the meanwhile, I also had my vacation planned with my friend from Italy that lived in New York. I want to say hi to her. She's still there. She's moved. She's coming back home in 2 days. Well, I had to go to California for my holiday, and it was already planned. And my vacation from California to California was from Nashville to, of course, to San Francisco, and then from LA to Nashville. And so my family said, "Don't worry, we're gonna handle it. We're gonna change your flights. We're gonna, if that's not possible, we're gonna book you another flight. You don't have to pay," which is really awesome because that's really nice of them. Because they were acting nicely, so I couldn't really complain because I called my LCC because I was scared to leave. And she was like, oh, if they are looking after you, they're changing your flight and they let you go on a holiday, that's okay. I mean, you can't say anything. They are being nice to you. And they actually were acting really nicely. And that is the point, that I couldn't really go because everything seemed to be fine. Well, at the end, eventually I had to follow them, and we took this flight and we arrived in Denver, Colorado. It was beginning of October, like half of October, because my birthday was on 14 and already had my birthday, so it was probably 20 something of October. So we arrived in Colorado, the three of us plus the baby. We rented a car at the airport, and then we went to Stapleton because Stapleton was actually the town we were gonna leave, which was not Denver, which was like 20 minutes far from Denver. But remember, I didn't have a car, so I couldn't really go to Denver unless I wanted to take a train, which was kind of I don't know, I had to be probably dropped off to the train station or take a bus. But in that time of my life, like visiting Denver was like my least thing to do because I had something else. I wanted to rematch. That was like bad timing because I wanted to rematch, but I was in another state. My LCC was in Nashville. I had a trip planned that I was not going to cancel, but I still want to apologize to my friend because I was not in the mood because I was in a holiday, but my mind was like thinking about what I was planning, like rematching, which was really tough. But anyway, we arrived in Stapleton, Colorado. Of course, I was happy because I was glad because my LCC gave me contact with other LCC of the area. So I met this LCC. Eventually, I met a bunch of au pairs, which was really important for me because without a car, they brought me to the cinema, they brought me to shopping, they brought me, I don't know, we had dinner somewhere, we had a coffee, and that was really useful. And now I'll tell you more later. So we were in Stapleton, Colorado. We just had the nicest house. At 3 floors, like 2 floors upstairs, like downstairs in the basement. And of course, I was living in the basement, which was terrifying for me because it was really dark and really cold. Remember, Denver is really in the mountains, so even though it was mid October, it was really cold. That one day was also already snowing and it was really really chilly. And I also had to buy a lot of winter clothes because in Tennessee it was still kind of summer, so I had to buy boots and coats and scarves and jumpers. So it was really really cold, and in the basement it was crazy cold, and I just complained. And I remember calling my mom, and my host mom's like, oh, she can move whenever she wants, she can come upstairs. But then she's like, you're never coming upstairs because upstairs I have my office and I can't have you, because I don't know, she was not even ever in the office. But anyway, downstairs I had like my bed, which was not even a bed, it was like the one that you default. It was really uncomfortable. Then my room was pretty nice, but very, 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 very tiny. But I had like a living room with a couch and a laundry room with a laundry, with a dryer, the washer, and a shower. It was kind of very gloomy and very dark, and like I don't like the tiles on my bathroom like were brown, which make everything so dark. But anyway, I was kind of, I didn't hear anything. I was isolated. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear the baby screaming. I couldn't hear the parents. I was okay, but the Wi-Fi connection was really poor. So like in my bedroom, the Wi-Fi didn't reach. So I had to kind of download my movies and watch them. But also, if I was in the living room in the basement, it was really cold, so I had to be in the bedroom. Anyway, well, I stayed a week or less, and then I had to go to California. So before, no, maybe I stayed 1 week. Yeah, I stayed 1 week because California was at the end of October. Yeah, so exactly 1 week. So before California, I was with the host mom, and she was working because, of course, she works from home. We had only a car, but the dad was kind of nice because she used to go to work walking, because it was like everything was within walking distance, like a library, pharmacy, groceries, everything. He went to his workplace walking, so she was able to go for a coffee, Starbucks, like she could take the car. So well, basically we went out of the house every single day, which was awesome because, after 7 months stuck in the house, for me just take a walk and, you know, have some fresh air. It was really, really cool. But the thing is, as you can imagine, she would never trust me, and she would not let me go to the park or to the library alone with the baby, which was really frustrating because why in heaven are you taking an au pair when you can't trust her, when you don't trust her? But also, something really annoying was we didn't have a play area, but we kind of made one. We put like a mat on the floor in the living room, and then we used the couch, and she bought to, I don't know, gate to block from the kitchen and to block the the stairs that went upstairs. So, and then the second day, a camera appeared, and I'm like, I eventually later I asked her, and I'm like, why did you put a camera on top of the TV, like facing me and the baby play area, And she's like, I mean, do you don't trust me? Which I know that she didn't, but I wanted to ask her in person, and she's like, because I want to be safe. I want my baby to be safe, and blah 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 blah. And then at that point, I got to know that even though I knew it, I think I had like confirmation that she was really creepy, but also psychopath. And I don't want to offend anybody, but because maybe you guys have cameras, and I don't want to say you are a psychopath, but the way she used the camera was a psychopath way, because other people told me that they have cameras, but they say like they watch it barely or randomly if they have like maybe they go to the beach for a couple of days and they want to check if somebody's in the house or if the dog is okay. I mean, that is legal. It is normal, but how could you just don't trust me and just stare at me 24/7? And I'm like, can't even, I don't know, turn around for 1 second that she can be there staring at me and judging me, which was my self-esteem was like super low because of her, because she was like, she wanted me to be like her, and I had to eventually act like her, like I was her, and I did not want that. Well, it is super hard for me, guys, to talk about this topic because it made me remember of a very dark time of my life where I was not in a happy place. But anyway, we would go out every single day to get a Starbucks, which I was kind of bored, but she would get me a Starbucks for free every single morning because I told you the company would cover everything, food and everything. So for me and for them, which is too much because we were over buying stuff that we didn't need. So in less than a week at home in this house, in this Airbnb, we had more stuff than we could actually bring back. And that was very crazy because we arrived with like 7 suitcases, and we were like surrounded by stuff that we probably didn't need. So we used to go out for lunch every single day, me, my host mom, and my baby, and her baby. And basically, that was really very strange situation because we went to the restaurant because Stapleton is a pretty nice town. There's a lot of restaurants or fast food, and we used to go to, I don't know, Chipotle or Italian pizzeria or bakeries, and we just sit down for a quick lunch. She was super quick. I was a little longer because I take my time when I'm eating, and she was kind of frustrated because I wasn't not as fast as her. But the worst part was that we just ordered food and we were eating, and while eating it, she would not talk to me. She would just stare at her phone and just laugh or swipe, and she wasn't working. She was just bored. And I'm like, why do we have to do it? It's like a comedy. It's like super fake. Why don't we just go like normal people grocery shopping and then just cook ourselves at home? And she would never cook. She was probably not able or very lazy to do it. But at least buy a salad or a sandwich, something that we can just do at home. And so when I opened my fridge in the house, there was like nothing. There was just milk and some leftovers of from dinner, because from dinner we didn't cook. They just got food delivered. So I'm like, I don't even have any ingredients if I want to cook. But apart from that, eventually I left. I got my ticket changed from my host mom, and I left for California, and I had a really very nice week with my friends. We went to San Francisco, to San Diego, to LA, and that was really cool because I didn't know I was gonna go back to California. Actually, I didn't know I was gonna rematch there, because when you rematch, you don't pick the state, you pick the family, and then the family live somewhere in the States. But anyway, while I was in California, my friends, they really loved me, and they were the friends I mentioned earlier from the training school. They actually like kind of begged me to do it, to rematch and to finish my year like peacefully. And I remember I was in a shoe store. I probably was in San Francisco, yes, and I called my mom, and I never call her like unless it's very important, and that was very important to me, because I was on the phone with my LCC from Tennessee, and she was like, yes, I got the situation, I didn't know it, you didn't tell me, now we have to move on, we have to do stuff, so hang on until your vacation is done, and then when this is over, call me back. So I was on the phone with her, and then I called my mom, and I was I think I was video calling her, and I was in this shoe store, and then I couldn't help. I start to cry, which is really bad when you are in California and your mom is like miles and miles away and she cannot come to cheer you up. So I was really feeling bad for the situation. And my friend came, she hugged me, and she's like, don't worry, you'll be fine, and you got this, and stuff like that. And eventually I calmed down, and then I had the best time with her, and but still I had to face the most important, the most, like the hardest thing, like her, my husband, like my previous husband. So when I got home, I probably arrived on a Saturday night. Yes, Saturday, like at midnight, and then she brought me home. And then the next day, she asked me if I wanted to join them for a hike in the mountains. And I said no, because I want to rest. So I rested, and then that Sunday afternoon, I had an AuPair meeting, which was really important because at the AuPair meeting, I actually met AuPairs that helped me, and LCC that kind of helped me through this process. Well, I'm sorry it's super long. Yeah, that is the hardest part now is coming now, because so far she was quiet, I was pretending to be fine, and we were kind of treating each other nicely. But when I talked to her, like my intention was to talk to both of them, but she would not let me talk with the husband because he was busy with the kid. So I basically had to talk to her alone. And I don't know, I tried to be very calm, and I think I did stay calm. But I told her, like, I'm so done with that. I'm not feeling satisfied. I came to the United States to play with the kids, to be with the kids, to do play dates, to grow, and I'm not growing. And like, I'm very sad and very depressed, and all of this kind of stuff that I told you before. My expectation versus the reality, the fact that we had to move like in no time to Colorado, and she started to like give out on me, and like, you are such a liar, you betrayed us, you used us, you used all of my money. And I'm like, how can you possibly say that I used you when I just did my job? And I was underpaid because I overworked. I was not even happy, but I did it. And she was not my family. She was not my mom, but I did it. He was not my kid, but I did it. And that is how grateful she was, like, just saying that I was such a liar, that I was using them, that I was just betraying them. But the fact is that I just understood later that she was kind of shocked because she thought she got me. She thought that she owned me and I would never ever leave her. But eventually I had to, and I did. I'm very happy and proud that I did it. Thanks to my family and my friends that really helped. But basically, we stayed in the house for probably 4 or 5 more days, which was really terrible because she would not talk to me. And if I started to talk, she would just shout and scream and be as mean as, I don't know, a wicked witch. And she was like, "Oh, don't touch my baby." And I'm like, "All right." And then she's like, "You are not working for me anymore." So basically, I lost 3 weeks of money, and that was really tough because I need to pay my own food and just try to save money. And then my LCC, she was trying to be like helping me, but also helping the family. She's like, "Oh, your family is giving you the free time, so you can explore. You can go to Denver, enjoy, go hiking." And I'm like, how can you possibly think that I have the mood to just enjoy myself? Also, I have to waste money in that. No, I have to really, really, really save money. And so, well, eventually I got back to Nashville. That was really hard because we had to do an exit meeting with another LCC. That was the one that I met at the meeting on that Sunday. But I didn't mention you that I had a class, like a weekend class in Nashville, 7, 8, and 9th of November, which was was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, yes, which I had to take because, as an au pair, you are on a J1 visa, and you need to get 6 credits. And I already had 3, but I need 3 more, and so I need to do this class. Well, I was about to go because I had already a flight that she changed because, of course, I need to change it. I mean, I didn't have to change. She had to book me a flight because my class was in Nashville and I was living in Nashville. So she just had to buy me a flight from Denver to Nashville and from Nashville to Denver. And she eventually decided to cancel my flight. So I'm not even kidding. One morning I was in the basement in Colorado. I woke up and like, yes, in 2 days I'm gonna go back to Nashville and I will feel like super happy and feel at home with my friends. But she canceled my flight. And so I'm like calling everyone from Culture Care that did not help at all and telling me she could do it because she paid for it. And I had to go because it was just, a class that I had to take and I paid for it. I just could not be refunded. So eventually, after a few hours or a day, probably one day, someone from Culture Care booked me another flight. But the flight that they booked me was super crazy because from Denver to Nashville, there are probably, I'd say, 4 hours flight, which is nothing. But I got the connection and I got from Denver to Dallas, Texas, and then from Dallas to Nashville. But in Dallas, Texas, I had like a probably 1 hour connection, which is really hard because Dallas is one of the biggest airport in the United States. But also, my flight was at 6 a.m. in Denver, which means that I had to leave the LCC house because already I had done my exit meeting, so I was like on my own, so I could be like, I packed, and that night I just went to the LCC. But that meant I had to leave very early in the night because Stapleton, Denver is like 1 hour or 40 minutes drive, Well, I had to go, but also my classes started at 4. and my plane landed at 12. And what I did to do was arriving in Nashville, drive 40 minutes, get back to the house. Of course, I didn't have the car because they got the keys back and everything. So I returned all the clothes, all the stuff that belonged to her. And then just this friend picked me up at the airport. My flight arrived 1 hour late, so it arrived at 1 instead of 12 and 1 p.m. My classes start in Nashville at 4. So imagine me arriving in Nashville, driving with this friend 40 minutes away, then stay in the house 30 minutes, literally packing all my stuff that I left, take all my stuff, say bye to the husband that was there just to check that I was not doing anything wrong to the house. Just say bye to the husband, take my suitcases, pack them in the car, drove to my friends that lived in Nashville, leave my stuff, get on the car with my friend, and she drove me to the class, and I arrived like on time, but everybody was already in the class. And that for 3 days I had like the most relaxing time. I just had this time to kind of let go and just don't think about rematch or her, and I was free because I left her. She was like gone. And then my program directors like, I would call you in 3 days time when you're done with your classes, and you can tell me if you want to rematch or if you want just to go back, you know. But if you go back, you got to pay your flight, and I didn't want to abandon. I want to give myself another chance to finish my year, you know, in a good way. So eventually, when the class is finished, I also want to say thank you to my friend, my best friend that hosted me in her house. I slept in her bedroom. I felt like super happy, and I felt like I was home. Then after these 3 days, I spent a weekend with her, also the Sunday, and then on the probably Sunday. I don't remember was a Sunday or a Monday. Probably was a Sunday evening. Yeah, Sunday evening. My LCC booked me a Uber that would drive me to Kentucky at the border with Kentucky, where another LCC was going to take care of me for 2 weeks. And in these 2 weeks, I had to look for a family. And if I didn't find one, I was going to go back for free to my country. But I eventually find one in 10 days. And I was with the LCC. And I remember saying bye-bye to my friend that hosted me. And I had like 1 hour drive with the Uber, and I remember like literally crying from the very beginning to the end of my journey, on my trip, because I said bye to my friend, and I knew I was not gonna see her again, and she's from Argentina, so I don't know when I'm gonna see her again because it's really far, and she's the best friend, really. But anyway, so I remember the Uber driver, like he was like probably my age, and he was really cute. He was like trying to cheer me up, and then I was fine because when I went to this LCC, she was like the sweetest human ever. She was a few years older than me, and she was au pair herself. She had been au pair herself. She was from Sweden. She's really nice, and I just was alone a lot of my time. Most of the time, I was just in my room or in the kitchen or in the living area just to, you know, do my research and look for family. But also, I was, yeah, working on my homework, which a lot, that kept me busy, and that was great. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt really blessed because when I was there, I felt really happy. I mean, I didn't have anything to do, but there was a bunch of au pairs, and one was really close to me, so I just could walk. There was nothing. It was like literally worse than Tennessee. Kentucky is like there's nothing, and I was just walking with this girl. But then after a week, no, 10 days, I met this family, found this family, and eventually liked them and matched with them, and that's how my second story as au pair started. And I'm gonna talk to you guys about my second experience with this German family living in Mountain View, Silicon Valley, California, or Bay Area, which was a crazy experience too, but not as bad, but not as beautiful as I expected. But the place was terrific. Like I would live there like today. So guys, I'm really sorry for this 50 minutes video, but I'm really excited to share to you guys my last experience that just finished, and I'm hoping that these tips and this experience might help some of you. And I hope you will enjoy my video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.